Hey guys, welcome back to Nerdium, the podcast by nerds for nerds that likes to look at all the awesome stuff going on in the golden age of nerds. Aside from a few misguided internet trolls tossing shade at actors and actresses that are just trying to add to our geeky little culture while hiding in their basements, it's a great time to be a nerd. I'm your host Matt, and to my left, as always, the Alfred to my Bruce Wayne, except he's not paid and doesn't do my laundry, Carrie. Today's episode, we take on a lesser-known DC character. This one is Carrie's dream girl, a girl that dresses like a bat. But, as if the universe is playing a cosmic joke on him, she's only into girls. We're talking about the latest news from CW of Batwoman coming to the Arrowverse. Ruby Rose has been cast to play the new addition to the TV superheroes, and we're excited to see what she can do. With no further delay, Carrie, to the Batcave. Alright, so this week we'll be talking all about the new Batwoman coming out to CW.
Are you excited for that one?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because they're going to have her introduced in the big crossover event through the Arrowverse in December. I think they always have it slated for.
Usually around that time, yeah.
And then they're going to kind of use that to kind of gauge whether they're going to do their standalone series. Apparently it's in the works, though. Like, they're working on a script for it.
I mean, I think they could do a standalone series. Like, Gotham just kind of teases the Bat motif.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could have somebody like Batwoman carry her own series.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, though, because in the Arrowverse, you don't have a Batman yet.
You definitely don't have a mention of it.
You have little mentions here and there. Like, Arrow, Oliver Queen mentions Gotham. He mentions, I think, Bruce Wayne at one point.
I know when the Flash was running around to different Earths, I think maybe it was Earth 3, one of the Earths that he visited, he went to his house and he looked at the speed dial list.
Mm-hmm.
And Diana was on there, Bruce was on there, Oliver was on there. Like, he had all the name drops.
Yeah.
Where you would expect to see, like, that universe in there. But I think as far as, like, a standalone show, I think a Batwoman show could do particularly well. Yeah,
just as long as they avoid kind of the pitfalls of that Birds of Prey series. Remember that, like, back in the early 2000s?
Vaguely, but that was, I don't know. That was what it was for the time.
Yeah, that was around the time where they also had that Mutant X TV series. It was just kind of like this low-budget Fox kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It looked like it was produced in that time with as little money as humanly possible. And you do kind of get what you pay for. But I think, like, the CW franchises, like the Arrowverse franchises, as well as Supergirl, seem to be doing well. Like, they hold their own pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
You might not be into all of their stories. Like, you know, some of them are pretty soap opera-y. I mean, it's the CW.
Yeah.
But they're done pretty well. They got a pretty good production budget to them. Like, I don't feel that you lose anything by watching them.
No, they're not cheaply done. I find sometimes Arrow kind of gets up on their soapbox and does a little bit of a public commentary or a social commentary, but
yeah,
those are maybe like once or twice a season. Usually it's just kind of in between major plot points as filler. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I used to be a fiend for like The Flash. I watched that habitually. I always enjoyed it. Really, really soap opera-y with The Flash and Iris, but yeah, it was still pretty good for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the special effects weren't blockbuster special effects, but they weren't 1990 special effects.
Yeah. So Batwoman, let's talk a little bit about the character. Her regular alter ego is Catherine Rebecca Kane, or also known as Kate Kane.
Well, there's two Batwomen. Yeah. There's the original Batwoman, which is Kathy Kane.
Yeah. And
she was introduced as kind of like a love interest for Bruce Wayne right around the time that Frederick Wortham, he wrote a book about titled The Seduction of the Innocent, about comic books.
Mm.
It's your typical we're ruining the kid's brain propaganda. And one of the things that he had cited in this book, which is just full of all kinds of lies and exaggerations to begin with, was that Batman was clearly gay. And in response to this, DC didn't quit. It took a couple of years, but they issued Batwoman as like this super love interest for Bruce Wayne because look, totally not a gay dude.
Yeah, it was like a knee jerk.
Yeah, right. But this was at a time where that kind of nonsense propaganda like proliferated everything. But then she was wiped clean.
Yep.
There was a point in time in the Batman series where there was all kinds of these ancillary characters, and Batwoman fell into it. She was wiped off the slate along with like Batgirl, Batmite, the Bat-Hound, like all these like accessory characters, which were all just got kind of silly.
Yeah. And
then Catherine Kate or Kate Kane came around in 2006, 2005?
2006.
2006. There you go. I took notes. and that's what we have now.
Yeah. Definitely the Kathy Kane was the Silver Age Batwoman. So this is more of the Batwoman that came out. She first appeared in the New 52 with the 52 Weeks issue number 7. Mm-hmm. You got her as her Kate Kane character, and she didn't actually toss the costume on until 4 issues later on issue number 11.
That long? I thought it was a lot sooner than that.
Nope. So she had her things going on, but she didn't actually put on the Batwoman costume until number 11.
Oh, okay.
One of the big things with this character is it's DC's first openly gay character, so they finally have some representation for a crowd out there that had a hard time finding a character that they could necessarily identify with. So
sure,
definitely got a huge fan base just from that.
They also suffered a severe backlash because of that, because superheroes can't be gay, I suppose. I don't know. I didn't read the rule book, so it's possible I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have to look at like the Adam West Batman series with him and Robin. Like
there were some eyebrow raising moments in there that made us all go,
And I can also like toss up a bunch of different little isolated pictures from earlier comic books of Batman that would
lead someone to believe that perhaps Batman had other ideas in mind.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting towards. I was kind of dancing towards.
Well, no, like I don't think, like, I mean, for me, that aspect of the character doesn't really speak anything to me one way or the other.
No, it doesn't add anything. It doesn't take away anything. It doesn't.
No, because when I first started reading that, especially when, like, just reading the editions, like, it's not something that's really harped on. It's not something that's, like, I didn't notice, and I could be wrong. I'd have to go back and reread it. It wasn't soapboxy. It wasn't preachy. It was just, here's a woman just leading her life, and this is what she is, and this is how she is. And it was... Yeah,
it was subtly done, and it was handled...
It was great to give that community that type of a voice.
Mm-hmm. So a little bit of backstory for the character is, like her father, she entered the military, did all kinds of specialized training. I think she was in the SEALs or something, did training with SEALs.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but ultimately she got forced out of the military after they discovered that she was a lesbian. So there's that. Once out of the military, she goes on to be a bit of a party girl, kind of heiress, kind of like a Paris Hilton.
Yeah, well, her socialite mentality was juxtaposed to Bruce Wayne's. Mm. Like that was kind of like that lineup between the two of them. She was what Bruce Wayne was. She was that, where Bruce Wayne was that out and about, playboy all over the place. She was that socialite party girl.
Mm-hmm. And also during that time, she got in a relationship with, I can't remember, a Gotham police officer.
Was it Renee Montoya?
Yes, it was.
There you go.
Montoya. There you go.
Yeah, pulling names out of my ass. There you go.
All right, so yeah, she was in a relationship with her, and I believe Renee actually became her own superhero at some point, or vigilante.
I mean, it's possible. I've always known Renee Montoya as like the more balanced edge to Harvey Bullock.
Okay.
Like she could chirp off to Harvey Bullock, like kind of keep him in line when the two of them were working together. Mm-hmm. In the Gotham series, Renee Montoya was more special investigations, like a professional standards sort of police officer, but she was in a relationship with Barbara when Barbara left Jim Gordon.
That is correct, yeah.
Yeah, so that was that was about it. But I've seen Renee Montoya as like a uniformed, like quote unquote good guy constable, and I've seen Renee Montoya as someone that like sells out to help her family. I think it was in Batman Begins, maybe The Dark Knight.
Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, where she goes down the dark path.
Not Dark Knight Rises. Dark Knight, yeah.
Yeah. So there was that aspect of her, and then like I've seen different iterations of her.
Yeah, I completely forgot she was in Gotham, and now that you say that, I remember that her partner was it Crispus Allen?
Yes, it was.
He becomes the Spectre later on.
Yeah.
In the comics, yeah. That's a very interesting character in itself. But back to Batwoman. So yeah, she goes on to be this party girl, and it wasn't until she gets this kind of rare encounter where Batman ends up saving her life, where she kind of comes across her calling.
She does, and she starts taking all of that money, again, not unlike Bruce Wayne, to start investing in some toys and start spending that time and energy out and about, smacking some heads around.
Yeah. Also, despite her military training, though, I can't recall, but I think she has kind of a rough start. Even though she's all super trained, she kind of has a couple missteps. And
I think it was it her run-in with Inner Gang? I think it was Inner Gang that it really, really messed her up really good. I can't remember the story arc. For some reason, I can't remember if it was in a comic book or if it was in a video game or whatever, but Inner Gang wanted to sacrifice her to the crime gods, so to speak.
Because, what was it? They kept calling her the Cain named twice? Or
the twice named daughter of Cain.
Oh, twice named daughter of Cain.
Yeah, that was the one. So I think that was one that she had a really, really hard time with.
Mm-hmm. Also around that time, I think she had her first run-in with Nightwing.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Nightwing didn't pick up on the cues and kind of fell for her a little bit. Kind of took her under the wing a little bit, taught her how to throw batarangs.
Yeah, well, hey, breaking hearts left, right, and center.
Yeah. I think eventually he got the clue, though.
Well, I mean, to his credit, he did go and hook up with Starfire when she first came to Earth. So, I mean, he's not hurting. He's doing okay. I think he polished off nicely on that one.
Yeah.
She's also a little bit more rougher than Batman. Like, she's willing to go a little bit further. Not as far as somebody like, let's say, the Huntress, but she's definitely toes that line there. She's more likely to lose control, shall we say. Yeah,
I think I just recently saw the one of the latest Batman animated movies that came out, Batman Bad Blood.
Mm-hmm.
And she's in it, and I'm pretty sure she's pretty comfortable with the pistols.
Yeah. So. she's again, but I mean, it's the same of a lot of like what they would refer to as the Bat family. Like there are those that are just a little bit more easygoing when it comes to the more loud fire bang bang weapons than, let's say, maybe not.
Mm-hmm. Which also kind of ties into that she eventually applies a lot of her military training, and she does have that lethal kind of edge to her, though. Like she's not going to lose sleep if she accidentally or purposely kills somebody if she has to.
Yeah, I think she kind of takes the stance of if you're not going to behave or do as you're told, well, then stuff's going to happen. If that stuff involves you dying, well, that happens too.
Yeah. Because of her military background, she's got peak physical fitness. I guess at one point she shows that she's proficient in gymnastics at West Point.
Yep.
She has a high pain tolerance. She gets stabbed a couple of times in one of the issues, and manages to kind of keep on going. Yeah,
she doesn't quite shrug it off, but she's not as hindered as, let's say, I am if I so much as stub my toe.
Or step on a Lego.
Or step on a goddamn Lego, yeah.
And she also has like a weird kind of, I don't know if I'd say weird, but she has like a really strong knowledge base with all kinds of different things, like human anatomy. Like she's really good with the pressure points.
She kind of toes this line. Like she really is almost a mirror image for Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Like her mental acuity, her physical abilities, her strength might not quite be on par, but everything else is pretty much almost evenly matched. She doesn't always have all the big toys, but she definitely holds her own in the ring.
And I almost wonder if making her character a lesbian also just to kind of represent the community, but also if it's to kind of be that kind of block that her and Batman can actually eventually hook up at some point.
Yeah.
Like, I know if they didn't introduce the whole gay aspect, people would always be kind of wondering if they're eventually going to kind of ramp up towards that relationship.
A lot of the Batman stories kind of go that way, though. Like, if you're a good-looking woman in a Batman story, there's a good chance at some point in time you're going to find your way under the cowl. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be misreading that, but it just seems to me in all the Batman comic books that I've read, that's kind of where it always goes.
Yeah.
Right now he's kind of married with Catwoman and all that sort of jazz. But I mean, before then, it's like every news reporter, particularly Vicky Vale, but any good-looking reporter from any news station, any heroine, almost any villainess that may or may not be a villainess at the time that he realizes it. Like, I don't know. There's that ongoing joke from College Humor in the Batman series where Batman always asks if they want to know his real identity and all this. But it's, any good-looking woman like, hey, you want to know what my identity is? Well, it almost feels that way sometimes.
Yeah.
And at least with Batwoman, there is a very definitive, this is who she is, and she's not spontaneously just going to change just for shits and giggles.
Mm-hmm. And also, kind of in parallel to Batman, she gets a lot of her gadgets and arsenal from her father, because he uses his military access to get her all those little toys. So along with her lethal and non-lethal arsenal, she also has kind of the standard Batman gadgets, like the gas gun, grappling hook type thing.
Yeah.
The batarangs. She has a bullet and stab-proof suit that's been treated. She has a cape that's specially designed for tactical purposes. Instead of the Batmobile, she rides around on a bat cycle, so Batman has one of those too, but that's her primary thing is motorcycle.
Well, that was Batgirl had that for a while when the two of them were kind of on and off in comic book series. That was always what set them apart. They were always on motorcycles as opposed to in like a car.
Mm-hmm.
I know things kind of changed for her once, because initially Batman really wasn't all that accepting of what she was up to. When he did finally bring her into the fold, I know she got full access to all the abundant amount of Bat toys, even though she didn't need them. And I think there's a couple of times where she makes it clear that I can get my own toys, thank you.
Yeah. Well, she even spent some time working at the DEO. So, you know that from the Supergirl series, if you're not familiar with the comic book version of it. Basically, they have pretty advanced technology that they usually kind of reverse engineer from aliens and all that. So she has access to some of that kind of advanced tech too.
Yeah.
Ultimately, her father's almost like kind of her own Alfred. He's in her ear when she's out in the street back at her apartment.
Yeah, wasn't it in Bad Blood they kind of highlighted that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I saw it, but I'm just trying to as you're explaining, I'm picturing it in the back of my head. I'm like, where? Can't remember if it was in the comic books or if it was in the movie when I saw that. So with the new series coming out, they cast Ruby Rose.
Yep.
And what do you think of that casting?
So, I haven't seen her in a whole lot that really kind of gives me an indication of how well she's going to be able to act this character. She definitely looks the part. What I have seen of her, she has that kind of edge, that kind of lethality in her eyes that would translate really well to a Kate Kane. Seen her in things like John Wick 2, the third Triple X movie, which was terrible. And
implying that the other two were really good.
That's a valid point.
Did you ever see her in Orange is the New Black?
I know she's in it. I jumped off Orange is the New Black probably like season 2.
Yeah, so I've stuck with it. I loved her in it. Like I thought she played an awesome character. Like just I mean her acting is, I mean, I don't know, it's not terrible acting. Like she played a pretty solid character. I mean, asshole of a character to be sure, but definitely like solid acting. I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do with it. Mm-hmm. It always amazes me when actors with pretty dominant accents, like an Australian accent or in some cases like a very heavy British accent, can act and then not have that accent present. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I'm for one looking forward to seeing her do. Like just it's a skill that I think that interests me for some weird, bizarre reason.
You just like kind of wait to see if you can hear like little tweaks of it.
Exactly, like Karen Gillian when she's in Guardians of the Galaxy, as opposed to when she's in Doctor Who, are two completely different voices. Mm-hmm. And it's always it weirds me out because I can hear their voice, but all of a sudden the accent's completely gone. And it's weird. It's one of those weird things I enjoy. I don't know. Don't judge me.
Yeah, well, I'm holding her to the standard of John Wick 2. Not that she played a mute character or a deaf character in John Wick 2, so so her ability to kind of convey lines is kind of missing there. But when she's on screen, she does have a presence, and she's pretty cool.
I know there was a lot of people threw a lot of hate her way for no particular reason, except for people are just going to hate because people are going to hate. I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Like it's like a lot of these movies that we've seen where we've seen an actor cast and all of a sudden we're just kind of raising our eyebrows at it. I say give her a chance. You know, like I personally think she'll do a great job with it. I'm looking forward to seeing that character on TV. Yeah,
like she'll be one. I believe she's the first LGBTQ actress to play a lead in a CW DC show. Like they already have gay characters in the series.
Yeah.
They also have gay actors that play characters too, but she'll be the first one that's the actual lead. So
yeah, hey, I'm looking forward to it. I could care less about any of the politics surrounding it. I'm of the opinion that if that's what really floats your boat down the river, you need to get on another ship.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing like the final product. Like it's one of those Batman family characters that doesn't necessarily get a lot of, let's say, screen time or book time. Let's call it book time. Mm-hmm. Where, you know, she was wiped off for a number of decades, and then she's come back. They kind of rewrote it a little bit. I've had no problem with it. I think it's a fantastic character, and I think it'll be a fantastic character on TV as well.
Yeah. And we were talking about this earlier where it's too bad that she got ran off of Twitter and social media, kind of the same way that, what's her name from Return of the Jedi did. For just like these kind of misguided fans hating on them for no reason, really. Like, I personally didn't see any of the mean tweets, but I'm sure they're there.
From the news articles that I've read, it was kind of, some people were saying she was too gay, others were saying she's not gay enough. Some were actually saying she wasn't gay, which was funny as all hell. Because I guess in the article she had written that, you know, like, I came out when I was 12. Like, what do you mean I'm not gay?
Yeah.
And there was an editor that actually made a good point in regards to some of these people carrying on, and that is, if all gay characters need to be played by only gay actors, then there's not going to be any work for gay actors other than gay roles. Here you go.
Yeah.
No matter how good you are, it's like, sorry, you have to do these roles. And I think that would be a terrible loss. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of the movies that we've seen that we love, even older movies back from the 50s and 60s that, you know, they had no choice. They definitely weren't allowed to come out and say that they were gay. But that didn't make them any less of an actor.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't make them any less of a person. Just that's who they were in their personal life. That doesn't change the fact that they were great actors. Another person, the editor also brought up that people were complaining that, well, Ruby Rose isn't Jewish and Batwoman's Jewish. Well, like, how bottom of the barrel do you have to get that's what you're going to hang yourself on? Like, that's your problem with the character?
Yeah.
You know, I think it's absolute nonsense. And I think that's a problem. We can have an episode where we talk about just fandom and the nonsense that comes behind it. You know, we're all fans of this kind of stuff. We all have great passions for it. I've never been so passionate about an imaginary character that I'm going to get on Twitter and bug the ever-loving hell out of somebody because they got picked for that role.
Yeah.
You know, you typically get picked for a role because you earned it.
Yep.
You know, to the best of my knowledge, hey, not a Hollywood actor, but I'm pretty sure that's how that works out.
Yeah, it's not because she got picked because she's the Goldilocks Three Bears level of gay that they were looking for.
Well, that's just it. But I mean, like, the whole impetus of that character, like, that is one part of a far more complex character.
Yeah.
Like, if you believe that Batwoman's only feature is her sexuality, then you've never read any of the comic books. You've never read anything to do with the character. All that, you know, you just know one aspect of her, and that's what you're going to try to fight for. Like, come on.
Yep.
You know, like, if you're going to be a fan of Batwoman, be a fan of Batwoman. Don't be a fan of one aspect of Batwoman's life and then decide to rally for it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lost cause, and it's just, I don't think anybody deserves to be bullied off of Twitter. And really, honestly, you know, I remember the point in time in our lives where Twitter didn't exist and you didn't exactly have this liberty.
Yeah. And
I don't remember the times where we were rioting in the street because what we thought was the wrong actor got cast in the right part.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just absolutely nonsense. And that's one of the great things about Twitter is that we can communicate with some of these actors that we love. Mm-hmm. The downside is that, unfortunately, every jackass can get onto Twitter. Well,
also, some jackasses get elected into higher offices of power and have a Twitter account.
That is another conversation altogether.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, ask yourself, like, is going out of your way to give somebody a hard time because they essentially worked hard for something and got it.
Yeah. It's a role she was excited to get. Maybe focus on the stories she talked about when she got announced for the role, where when she was a kid, she would make up the bat wings out of cardboard and everything like that.
Yeah.
The weird stories of how her mom would nurse bats back to health and then have them in the house as pets.
Right.
Like, that's a weird story, like, but she was excited for this role, and then I kind of feel like maybe they kind of took a little bit of that kind of sparkle out of it for her.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. Hopefully she can put this in the past and move forward and actually enjoy herself.
I think she will. From what I understand from the articles that I read, is that she's all about playing this role. She's excited for this role. You know, she comes out, let's say a year into shooting and just shit talks the character from beginning to end. Yeah, by all means, get on Twitter and rant and rave.
Yeah.
I doubt that's going to happen, but by all means, if that's what happens, then, you know, like, somebody that's excited to play a role doesn't just suddenly turn around and shit all over the franchise that they're excited about.
Yeah.
It's just not typical, to the best of my knowledge.
No. Also, like, we haven't seen anything for it yet. We haven't seen her in the costume. We haven't even heard the script or anything. Like,
right.
The fact that everybody's jumping on it so hard.
On nothing more than, hey, this is who's going to play her, and nothing more than meaningless speculation.
Yeah. Like, if you want to get mad, let's talk about the Tom Cruise rumor to be in the running for Green Lantern. That's something to get you mad.
Get on Twitter and argue about that, because, you know, let's just ride in the streets, because that's just absolute nonsense.
Yeah. But that's an entire episode in itself.
Yeah, we'll just do a Tom Cruise episode. I'm sure it'll go over well for everybody.
Yeah, we'll do that right after the entire Nick Cage episode.
Hey, we could do a good Nick Cage episode. There's a lot of material to go through.
Yeah, that might be a two-parter.
Absolutely it is.
All right, so that kind of wraps up my notes here for the Batwoman coming out.
Well, pretty much mine too. I mean, we're kind of just going off of, I mean, for what's coming out for Batwoman, you know, what is speculated to be on the horizon. Mm-hmm. I think we'll find out a lot more as we go forward.
Yep.
And I think we'll have a lot more to talk about once she kind of makes her debut in the Arrowverse, mm-hmm. and see how well received she is.
Yep. And yeah, I'm excited to see Ruby Rose take on the cowl.
Absolutely. I'm totally pumped about it.
Yeah. All right. So we'd love to hear what you guys think. As long as it's positive. If it's not positive, we don't need to hear any more negative stuff about this.
Well, I think that if you feel that Ruby Rose isn't a good actress for the role,
yeah,
by all means, let us know why.
Yeah, back it up with some actual kind of...
and then let me know who you think would do a better job in that role.
Yeah. We don't want to hear just kind of the rants that have already been out there, but if you have like a legitimate reason, if you say that you just don't like her acting from what you've seen and it's just not your type of acting, that's a legitimate reason why you don't like it.
Yeah, absolutely legitimate. Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
But then but then suggesting who would you rather see in the role?
Yeah, exactly.
And let's face it, just because she doesn't have red hair doesn't qualify as an answer.
She's not 5'10".
Yeah, she's not exactly 5'10".
I don't even know how tall she is or how tall Batwoman is, but I just went with that. Anyways, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those fun places, or you can shoot us an email at nerdiumpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, reach out, let us know what you think, let us know what you like, and let us know what you want to hear us talk about.
Yep. All right, until next time, guys.
Have fun.